All right, so moving into sort of like episode 5, and I think this was the case in episode 4 too, a little bit, because I know you talked about it throughout the season, but just staying with family and growing up too fast and what all that looks like, right? So now we're in the space where you are getting ready to be a mom. You're living with your aunt. There's all these new responsibilities added to your list, paying rent, holding your own, just trying to make it. How did that responsibility feel in that moment? Did you ever think about, did you ever view it as I'm being independent, or did you just honestly just feel weighed down by all of the things that you had to walk into?
I would definitely say I felt very, very overwhelmed, just with the thought um, of just having a baby, and I literally had no clue. At the time when I first had her, I had a job, but it was just a normal retail part-time job, like a normal teenager would have. But I feel like every single day in the back of my mind, I was like, "How am I going to do this? How am I going to do this?" Um, I didn't feel like I was some type of super mom or somebody who just had it all together. I literally just didn't know what I was going to do.
Yeah, yeah. I guess like since you didn't, you didn't really talk about it. What sort of shaped your mentality about the responsibilities you were going to have to take on? Were you Googling a lot? Were you like going, based on like other experiences or TV, or like what sort of helped it go from an idea to no, this is my reality. Like I have to step into some of these things.
I think it stemmed from a lot of places.
Okay.
Honestly, back then when I was in school, surprisingly, I didn't personally witness a lot of teenage moms.
Okay.
But I did see some of my family members that were only a few years older than me go through teenage pregnancies, and I seen all that it entailed. Children getting sick, just trying to provide for them, and also just to be honest, you know, it all still went back to support. I wasn't living with my mom. Many people knew that. Um, in middle school, I moved with my aunt, my mom's sister, one of my mom's sisters, because things just wasn't working out at home.
Yeah.
So my aunt, she was always working 2 jobs. My grandmom, she was there to help, of course, but she had her own health issues. She had a disability, and then when it came to my daughter's father, we weren't in a great place. I knew I would have the support of like his mom and sisters and things like that. Excuse me. But I didn't know how much. I didn't know, you know, what was going to happen. Like, honestly, neither one of us were ready to be parents, but, you know, I needed people to step up for me. And I just didn't know who was going to be that person or those people. So, I mean, it really just stemmed back to like looking at everything as a whole instead of trying to take it day by day. Like, hey, we're going to get through this day and we're just going to see
Yeah.
how we, get to the next day. But I just used to sit back and just say, I don't know how I'm going to make it through.
Now, were you expecting more support from your child's father? Did y'all have open discussions about like what that would look like? You two raising your daughter, or do you feel like you guys moved like super independently when it came to that?
Yeah, I feel like we were definitely more on the independent side because by the time she was born, we weren't together. Even before she was born, that relationship just didn't work out the way I expected it to. So, usually when people have a family or a child, they look at this, this big dream of being in a relationship, raising a child in a household. And obviously, I'm a teenager. I wasn't going to move in with him or anything like that, but still, at least doing it together, drop offs or whatever I had in mind. But, I just knew, in a situation that we were both in that wasn't possible. And I knew our relationship was not at a really good point. So I just was honestly just scared. I didn't know what to think. So basically, I just looked at it like, hey, I'm a single mom. I'm doing this on my own.
Did you did you go about like applying for your benefits and all those things on your own, or did someone sit you down, sort of help you through it? Like, how did you find out that you could get assistance or support?
Definitely my grandma.
Okay.
She wasn't. She ain't take no stuff from nobody, and she wasn't going to just let her granddaughter be out here, not knowing any information. Obviously I knew somewhat about people getting, benefits through the state and different things to help with certain things, but I wasn't really that knowledgeable because I never really needed it. I mean, I was taken care of, by my aunt. She made sure we had food in the house. I never needed to buy formula or Pampers or anything like that. So my grandma, hey, say, listen, I don't want you to be ashamed or embarrassed. Hey, go down to the office and tell them that you need help. You need help with your daughter. You don't have anybody and you need help. And that's what I did. And for a while, it was okay. But I think the loss of a job just really just got me.
Yeah, yeah. Were you working before you got pregnant, and so was this the same job that you had that you wound up walking out of, or did you get a job when you found out you were pregnant knowing that you needed money
So I actually was working at that job already. So
Okay.
it was just a part-time job, just after school. I would work nights. As soon as I got off of school, I'd pretty much go straight there, work, go home, do homework or whatever I needed to do. So it was good in a way because, they knew what was coming. Like once I told them I was pregnant, they were like, okay. But of course, because I was part-time, I didn't have none of those benefits like paid leave or anything like that.
Yeah. Did you take a good amount of time off when you had your daughter, or because money was tight, you sort of went back a little prematurely? Do you think that you had enough time to acclimate a little bit, or?
I would say I definitely went back too soon. Definitely too soon. I actually, for people who don't know, I actually had a C-section, and when you have that, they recommend that you take your time getting back to the normal way of life. But I just honestly, I had money on my mind. I'm like, I don't know how else to survive. Like, state benefits are great, but they only get you to a certain point. And I went back. I can say I still remember. I probably went back after about 6 weeks, and then that's pretty fast, when you have a baby and a C-section and stuff like that. Because honestly, it's very painful, and you just have to get up. And since I was working in retail, I had to stand up. I had to stand up at a register, stand up and stock shelves. So I'm basically just pushing myself to go back to a job so I can get paid to take care of my daughter.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about you deciding to leave your job, storm out, leave your job. You were sort of over it. Do you think that, maybe a little bit of the teen mentality, a little more on the immature side, you were thinking something else is going to work out. I just got to get out of here. Or do you think, were you even thinking in the moment? Like, was it all emotion? Like, talk to me a little bit about what was your plan if you had one, or what were the thoughts that were running through your head about how you're going to take care of your responsibilities without this job?
Honestly, I think it was a bit of both. It was a bit of immaturity, and it was a bit of me not thinking. I mean, honestly, sometimes, when you get into an emotional state, you don't even think about the consequences. And, I just got tired of certain things at the job and just being belittled because, they felt like, hey, you are, under me. You need to do what I tell you to do when I need you to do it. And, me trying to advocate for myself, yes, I chose to come back to work early. But when I'm telling you I'm struggling because I came back to work early and I can still do my job, I just can't do it to its full extent right now.
Yeah.
And I had some managers give me a break, go ahead and sit down at the register, or you don't have to stock shelves, or you don't have to do certain things, because they were trying to be considerate knowing the situation I was in. But I got to a point where I just felt like I just got tired of people feeling like they could take advantage of me. And that just stemmed from everywhere. It wasn't necessarily that moment, but that moment is the point that I decided that today I'm going to be free. So I went in that office. I basically argued with the manager, told him I quit, and never looked back. But once I got to the bus stop on my way home, it felt very freeing, but then it felt terrifying. It went from, I feel like, I stood up for myself to what did I just do?
Yeah, yeah. Were you applying for other jobs after that, or did you feel like you just needed a minute?
Honestly, I should have been, but in my mind, I don't honestly know what I was thinking. Like that's what I definitely shift to a teenager mind,
Yeah, yeah.
and just like kind of just forgot that I had responsibilities. Like somehow, some way, things were going to work out. But I'm not going to lie to anybody. Like I never started to look for another job at that point. I was just like
over it.
Yeah, I just was like, look,
Yeah.
I'm done. Like
Yeah.
I don't.
You said you need a break. All right, so when you talk about we talk about staying with family and having to pay rent, and I'm curious if at that time did you feel like it was something that was unfair that you didn't expect your family to ask you to do when you were going through so much, and if that has changed now that you're an adult and also trying to give responsibility to your children.
Um, I didn't feel like it was unfair
Okay.
because, me and my grandmom had a lot of talks one on one, and I've always been told I can't live anywhere for free, family, friends, regardless, and I understood that. Yes, I was going through a difficult time, but the thing is, I made that time more difficult because I was not honest with my aunt about losing a job. And the crazy thing is, I mentioned earlier that she had 2 jobs. That was one of them. She actually worked there part time.
So is that how she knew that you
Yeah, so she knew
left?
that I quit. Like, but she didn't find out. Word spread. So, she started to look for her money, and I just started to make excuses about it. But I felt like I don't know what I was doing. Like, I could have just been like, hey, listen, I need help, or I'm looking for another job, or can you just give me some time? But in that moment, I was just being prideful, and I don't know if I would have had the support or not because I didn't ask. I didn't speak up. I didn't say, hey, I lost my job. I just lied about it. So
Yeah.
I feel like I believe that my aunt would have helped me in that situation, knowing all that I was going through. But I put myself in that situation. I think, me quitting kind of was a downfall of mine because I think I started to get like a superior mindset. Like, hey, I quit now, I can do whatever. I can tell my aunt, I don't have to tell her anything. I can tell her, hey, well, I'm leaving, forget you, or whatever you saying. But, I just felt like it really shifted my mindset for the worst though.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I tell my children, it's funny because growing up, I never had like allowance or anything like that. And I tell my children that it's not necessarily something that we have to give you. I don't at this point, but I'm just saying, like, I try to teach them the right things, and that they have to work for everything. Even now with me trying to, go through the stages of, being successful as a business owner, entrepreneur, I tell my children, hey, you are going to have to do something in this business. I don't care what it is. Even my older daughter, I'm not going to just hand you something and just make it seem like you never had to work for anything in your life. So,
And you think that's very much largely shaped by the responsibility that you took on growing up and like all the things that you experienced.
absolutely. And honestly, I just don't want to go around having children that are so spoiled and just so like, hey, my parents got it, so I got it mindset. It's like, like very much entitled children. I don't want that because honestly, even if I have it one day, that doesn't mean I didn't have to work hard to get it. So you need to work too, whether it's you being a part of this company or you going out to venture and do another career. I'm not saying that you wouldn't be taken care of, but you need to know that that's not how life works.
Yeah, yeah. It's going back to just like you quitting your job really quickly and just saying that, that was one of your aunt's, like her part-time job. It's so interesting, like just thinking into like the teen mentality that like you did not share that you had quit, or, you didn't want to talk about it at all, and like didn't think that she would find out, even though she worked there. Like I think like the teen mentality is if you're a teen watching this, like you really do need to listen to like the grown up authority around you, because they were just so much more wise on like life and just all these things. It's like I feel like when you are a teen, you literally just like that level of thinking is just not there. Like it's like you just can't process the emotions or the things the right way. So after that, you quit your job, you were lying to your aunt about like what was going on there, and then you weren't applying to any other jobs at the moment. Do you feel like you fell into a depression? Like, do you think that's what sort of stopped you from moving on after that? Or what do you think was like the holdup for you? I know you said you felt it was a little bit about like being free of having to sort of like answer, I guess, to people. But do you think depression was in there somewhere, and maybe that was something that sort of like held you in that spot?
I would definitely say that was a bit of it because, at that moment, I just felt like I had nothing or nobody. Even if it was people around me, I just felt like, you know, I just wasn't in a place that I really wanted to be. So, I started to get that what's the point mentality. Like, why? Why am I even doing this? Like, yes, I would look at night and look at my daughter and say, you're the reason why I'm doing this. But then in the back of my mind, I'm just like, I don't care anymore. Like, I don't care. I don't need to look for a job. Like, nobody cares about me. Nobody wants to help me. I started to be, I won't say selfish, but I just started to feel like I started to blame others for my own situation. So, it just felt like, forget you, forget what you're talking about. I don't know. I just had a mindset shift that just took me into another place that it was hard for me to pull myself out
of. So from that point on, right, you didn't give your aunt the money. She found out you were lying. She said you gotta go. And started packing your stuff, and you were sort of sent out on your own. And I know the last episode sort of like leaves us there, right? Like you experiencing couch surfing a little bit with friends and other family members, and then it sounded like, but you can clarify, like a little bit of homelessness, a bit, walking the streets at night with your child and not having any food to eat and all of those things. What was going through your mind at that time? How were you thinking you would get through that season? And I know it was a cliffhanger, so obviously you're not going to share what came next, but like if you could just think about that last episode and where you sort of left your listeners. What was C. Janae thinking at that time?
I went into survival mode. It was just, it literally went from, me having that prideful mindset and just thinking I was going to have all this stuff together to survival mode. I mean, I had to look at my child and look at what we had, and that was nothing, and just figure it out. Like, I was like in that talking to myself, like, just figure it out. You have to figure it out. And, I was appreciative of the people who I can just stay for a couple of nights, but people don't know, people don't have to believe me, but I remember a specific night where I literally had an umbrella stroller with my daughter. She's asleep. It's cold. I don't have a blanket. I don't have anything. I am literally walking. I don't know what's around me, who's around me, where I'm going to go. I'm literally just walking until I can think of a plan. Like, I remember that same day, I had nothing. Like I said, my benefits got cut off because I had no way to get a call. I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have any food, any money, and somehow, some way, I don't remember if I found it on the ground. Somebody just looked out for me. I had maybe $1.50. I went into the store, got my daughter a bag of chips and a hug for dinner. I haven't eaten anything, and I don't know how long. And I think that night might have ended with me borrowing someone's phone or getting on a pay phone at the time when it was pay phones. And some of y'all know about that. And getting in touch with a friend that maybe let me stay the night because I didn't have any. But I walked there. I walked there, and I just knew in that moment, like walking, pushing her, tears running down my face, like this is it. Like I have to figure something else out. But that road doesn't get easier. But
Yeah, that's a scary place to be. I couldn't imagine going through that, and not only were you going through it yourself, but you have a child to look after, and so I can just imagine that being so scary. I know you didn't have a cell phone, so family couldn't get in touch with you. As you sort of like started sharing this, like, did you hear that they were worried about you, that they were trying to find you? Like, what did the family dynamic look like when you were out on your own like that?
honestly, there wasn't really one.
Okay.
I think, without revealing too much, I think in some of the places that I was led after those moments and couch surfing and stuff like that, I think I would, reach out to my grandma because I loved her so much, here and there just to get an update, borrow on a friend's phone or something like that. I honestly can't remember if I reached out to my mom or my aunt. I mean, probably not my aunt because at this point I resented her. It was my fault, but it didn't matter. It's like, you should have stopped me. You should have never let me tell you, stand up to you and tell you that I'm moving out. You should have fought somehow for me to stay there, even though I was in the wrong. So at that point, I'm like, what family? I knew people still cared about me, but to me at that time there was no family dynamic. I had myself, my child, and whoever else wanted to help me at that time.
Yeah, and we're going to stop there because I'm sure in season 2 you're probably going to get into what that looks like from homelessness on, how you might have restored your relationship with your family members. So we're going to stop there, and season 2 will be coming soon. Before we end this interview, I do just want to get into like a really quick rapid round of like a couple of questions just to see like your thoughts, and we can go really quickly with this. So just sort of answer whatever is at the top of your mind, okay? All right. Do you remember the first time you realized laughter was a survival mechanism?
I would say yes. That would have to be when I had nothing else left. All I could do was laugh so I wouldn't cry.
Was there a specific incident that pushed you from silence to storytelling?
Wow. So in 2020, I lost one of the most important people to me, and I fell into a deep depression. Pulling myself out of that over the past year and a half has been really hard for me. So I turned to my creative side. I've always been a writer, poems, fictional stories, whatever. So when I started doing that, I realized that it started to help me heal, it started to help me feel free. So I said to myself, why not do it for everything I've been through?
What does laughing to keep from crying look like in your day-to-day life?
I mean, I still feel like I have to laugh to keep from crying with these little ones, and just life. Life is always going to be life. So sometimes I look around at things, it may be the house not looking as clean as I wanted. It may be something or some news I was hoping would be better, but sometimes I just use laughter not because it's funny, but because, it's just a coping mechanism.
You don't have to like get deep into this question, but even if you can just like put a theme on it, what is one chapter of your life that still feels unfinished or too raw to tell? And you can just put like a name, like parenthood, marriage, career.
I would say if I had to just give you one specific time without giving you any details, it's in my initial college years, when I was pursuing an associate's degree. I would just leave it there.
Okay. When all the episodes are out, what do you think healing would look like at the end of that? Or what would your healed self look like?
Well, I feel like I would never be 100% healed from everything, you know, that I've been through in the past. But what I could say, I would be better. You know, I would be better, and you know, I wouldn't have to hold on to pain any longer from my past experiences. You know, we always going to have a past. We can't take it away. We can't change it, but we can choose to be free from it.
That's a good line. Last question. If you could choose to collaborate with anyone, like a producer, artist, a storyteller, anyone, who would you want to collaborate with to tell your story?
Man, I would definitely say my girl, Kerry Washington, man.
Oh, Kerry. We love some Kerry Washington.
Love Kerry Washington. I don't
Yeah.
know if she's a producer. I know she's an actor and everything, but I mean, she's amazing. You know, she's very inspiring just to see her go through multiple roles and see her career build. And mind you, I'm even watching Scandal right now again for like the second or third time
Oh my
because I
goodness.
just love her acting in it. But yeah, she's definitely an inspiration. You know, she's been through so, you know, much in her acting career, and just to see the stepping stones that she's, you know, had, and you know, she would be an awesome person to collab with.
Yeah, I love Carrie. Thank you, CJanae, for your courage, your laughter, your honesty. As we mentioned before, Laugh to Keep from Crying isn't just about survival, it's about transformation. For everyone listening, this series is a reminder that even in your darkest chapters, there's light, there's laughter, and there's always room to begin again. So stay tuned for season 2. I'll let CJanae close us out here.
As always, thank you for listening to CJanae After Dark. Stay tuned for season 2 coming next month.